Okay, so I did make the change to that template to remove the functional categories out of that template. So that template should now be pretty close to something that's workable for you.
Cool.
Let's see, here's that one. Did you ever get the email and establish your password? Have you done that yet?
Yep, did all that.
Okay, perfect. I guess I don't know my password. Let me get this set here.
I'm going to step away for about 10 seconds. I'm going to grab something.
Okay. All right, no problem. Why? Like, say, for example, in a way that you might use another system that doesn't have this planning capability like this built in with the separate blocks.
Got it.
Okay, so that's the main thing I wanted to cover was how we move forward with the plan. I missed that yesterday. So that is the way you're going to move forward. And then from that point, of course, now once they have ICD codes on their chart, if you want to add all the highlights, so the ones that have been used before will just be highlighted. And if you just want to add the highlighted ones, you can just click add all highlighted ones, and that will add both of them into this note. And again, you know, they won't obviously, because this is the master problem list. It's the same two problems. So obviously they're not going to go back on the list. At that point, of course, once again, I would just click generate to generate the note. And then remember, I'm going to make sure that I scroll down and click save. I'm not going to leave it in this draft form because in draft form, nobody else can see it. So I go ahead and save it. And now that note is completely done. Okay. So, and then it brings me up to the note list, and you can see here now that I have the two notes. I have the one from today and the one from yesterday.
Yep.
Okay. So this is where, again, I'll always see all of my notes in this list. You can see approved is false, meaning that they have not been approved at this point. These are the latest versions, and you can see the encounter date as well as the date created and the last date updated as well. All right. Any questions about any of that?
No.
Okay. Well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the keyboard. We've got one more encounter here that we can document for this guy. So I'm going to stop sharing. Now on your screen, there should be a share button, and just go ahead and press that, and then you'll be the one with the control. Perfect. Okay, go ahead and bring up the system on another tab there.
Okay.
Hopefully you got it in your favorites someplace.
I do.
Looks like it's right there on the home bar. Yep, there we go. Perfect. Very good. All right, so go ahead and search and find our test patient. All right, and you can do that. Just get in the habit.
I was just playing that as a habit, yeah.
Yeah. But no, you can do that. That's totally fine. Yep. But since it's on the short list right now, I don't know where your team is on getting the patients in here. All right, and go ahead and go to SOAP Notes now. And you can do that from either the left menu or the bottom menu, either one, whichever one is more convenient. It's about that one right there. Yep. And like I said, we need to add some more encounter types. But for right now, go ahead and open that drop down and just pick the same one we've been picking, the new hormone patient. And right after this, we're going to go and add a few more. All right, go ahead and click the attach to appointment record drop down. See how that other one is gone now? The one that I just documented, yeah, there's only one left. See, so that's how you know that you don't have any visits left to document, is when there's nothing else left in that drop down. Okay, perfect. And go ahead now, and you don't need to attach to a secure message. We don't have any, so you can just go ahead on down to the template to select. and select the new patient note. We've got a couple of other ones. No, not that one. I'm sorry, not that one. The other one. Cancel that. It's the. I got to get rid of that other one. That's the empty one. Pick the last one in the list. New patient note. Yep. Overwritten. Say OK. It's just letting you know so that you don't mistakenly start a note and put a lot of content in it and then decide you want a new template because it doesn't have a way to move that content over. It's just reminding you that you're gonna. So go ahead and get comfortable typing some things in these boxes here. Just so you know too, we got a little plumbing issue. So it's somewhere between 10 and 10:30. I got a plumber coming that I'm gonna have to just stop and just show him what's wrong, but it won't be more than 2 or 3 minutes. But just so you know. And like I said, you can always consider getting Dragon. A lot of doctors really love the new Dragon is much better than the old one, and so a lot of docs are really enjoying using Dragon Naturally Speaking Medical, so they don't have to type so much.
So dragging, as in dragging.
No, Dragon, DRAGON. It's it's the speech recognition program that you can talk.
Recognition stuff, right.
Yeah. So you talk and it types, and it's but the new version. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have recommended it because the doctors that I knew basically said you really gotta, it takes a long time to train, and it's still only about 85% accurate. But I'll tell you, the docs that use it today, Lanish uses it for one, but they love it. They just absolutely love it. It's much better with the recognition, 95% or so accuracy. It's not hard to use anymore. Literally, you just talk and it types, and you go back and make any corrections. But it saves a lot of time, at least from the docs that I know that use it. I know at least 2 or 3 docs now that are using it. So go ahead and you can't do the medical history because we didn't fill out a history form for this particular patient, test patient. But go ahead and do the physical exam part as you might actually do it. So you get totally comfortable with it.
So let's say I don't do, let me just see what the drop down is. Okay, never mind. Answered the question.
Right. Yep. That's exactly right.
So if I leave this right here, oops. I leave this right here, that's my note.
That's your note. Right. If you don't check any boxes, yeah, that's your note. Yep.
Great. Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yep. And you go on, and like I said, now, if you have the integrated labs, then the labs would be able to flow in automatically. And that's your assessment diagnosis section. There you go.
And just put, I could go 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay.
Sure. You can, yep, exactly. Yep. And then now you go to the plan tab. So scroll back up, big scroll. Yep. And now go to the plan tab, not scroll within there, the big scroll. No, the very top. So you got remember, you got kind of an inner scroll and an outer scroll. There you go. So now, since this is a note that already has plan elements, go ahead and click use prior at the top there. Okay, and so that makes, so by default, all of these plant elements, notice they're all marked to continue. So if you want to discontinue one, for example, you would click the discontinue. If you want to modify, you click the modify button and then change it. So just play around with doing that, modify, and then now you type something different. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
So with each one, now we'll talk about associate with problems here in a second. So associate with problems is an optional part. A lot of docs use it. So when you associate with problems, now what you can do is go over to the problem list and select one or more problems and then click associate. And
Yeah,
then that
I get
will
it.
bring those problems up. So
Yeah,
the
I love
idea
it.
is you're telling them why I'm telling you to do this, because you're overweight, or because you got hyperlipidemia, or because of whatever. So that's the why. And a lot of docs, some docs do it, some don't, but I think it's very helpful from the patient side, because a lot of times patients want to know, especially if you've given them a long list of stuff to take, they want to know, well, why am I taking this, right? And so now you kind of get to answer that why question.
Got it. Okay. And okay, and then
So that's the way you modify one. And like I said, if you wanted to discontinue one, you just click the discontinue button, and then that plan element will show up to the patient as being discontinued.
where's the continue button? Oh,
Well, the
oh, got
continue
it.
button was
Got it.
already
Got it. Got
checked.
it. Got
It
it.
was checked by default.
So
Then when
once
you
I've
check,
modified it, once I've
right,
done
and then
the
like go to
modification,
another one and check. Right, so that's a modified. Now go to another one and check like discontinue, just so you get the hang of it, and
got
seeing
it.
what happens and everything.
And then
See,
if
so
then
each one,
that brings
right.
stuff
Then
over.
now once you check associate with problems, then you need to go over to the right and check the problems, then apply from the list on the right. No, this bottom list on the right, the bottom list, the problem list.
This list.
There you go. Yeah. So from that list, go ahead and now once you check that, now check there and check there, and then click scroll down a little bit so you can click the associate button. No, on the right. Scroll on the right. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, add plant problems to plan element. There you go. See how?
Ah,
So
I like
okay, so
it.
that's how you get the problems to go into that box. And so now when they go to the patient, they're going to go as text. They're just showing you the numbers for short. But when they go out to the patient, they go as text.
Got it.
Yep. There you go. So you click modify, and then that puts it into the modify mode.
Okay.
What's Revo sleep supplement? I haven't heard of that one.
Oh, that's because and it's wonderful. What I mean by, I don't mean to pat myself on the back, but you know who Jim Laval is?
I've heard the name. I don't really know him.
Yeah, Dr. Jim Laval. He and I developed this one. The problem with people taking just melatonin and just using melatonin and other types of sleep things is that that's not how the body works. It combines. So there's a combination of things that. So we made up this supplement called Revo Sleep, and it's it has a little melatonin in it, but what it really has in it that helps with sleep, it calms the brain down. That's usually most people's problem, including mine. And by the way, most of the stuff that I developed is based out of my own issues or family issues that we're having problems dealing with, right? So I put a little theanine, a little 5-HTP, and melatonin. That combination just kind of helps calm the brain down, not just make you somnolent or sleepy. Helps calm the brain down, so it allows for a decent sleep.
Yeah, I know a lot of docs were using Cabernet, and you might know it just got discontinued. Cabernet just got discontinued because of the 3-amino that was inside of it.
Exactly.
And so I know Lenise probably had 100 patients on Cabernet, and they're all going, "What am I going to do now?" So because nothing else seems to work. Whoops, hang on one second here. think maybe.
And then I managed
Hi
the
there.
page.
Good morning.
Yeah, yeah, come on in.
There we
Yeah,
go.
come on in. I'm sorry. So, Doc, let me just get my plumber situated here.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead,
that's cool.
just
That's
stay
cool.
on
I'm
this
gonna mess
screen
with this.
and work. Yep. I want you to kind of play around and just get comfortable. You know, like I said, whenever you get the plan satisfied, you can simply click Add Plan to Note. That will push it back to the other side, back into the main body of the note. But get comfortable working your way through the screen. It's a little, you know, because you got a right scroll and a left scroll. So I just want you to get comfortable with all of that movement so that, you know, you can use it efficiently. But and I'll be back with you here shortly. I'm just going to I'm going to mute my audio here for a minute. Okay, I'm back.
Cool.
You there? All right.
Yep.
So you getting the hang of it, buddy?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the idea. Once you get it, you know, there's the medical history. Again, we don't have, that person didn't fill out a history form, so we can't, but normally you would click, if there was a history form there would be another button there that says parse.
So I already
health
made
history
a
form.
rookie mistake. I already
What's
made
that?
a rookie mistake. I put something in the history I put strong family history of CAD, and then I went
No,
down,
there's
went down,
nothing
went
wrong with it.
down, and
Oh,
I didn't do anything, but I clicked over here, and then I went back, and it was all gone because I didn't save.
you didn't save, yeah. Make sure you save it, yeah. So
Yep.
you can use that way as manually as well, as far as manual history. So you certainly can do that, as opposed to the automated history. And then you just click include all sections and then add history to note.
When the patient,
Because sometimes you may not want all the sections. Right?
oh, got it. No, I'm good.
Yep. And the nice thing is that, that history stays there and it's not attached directly to a note. So therefore, it's easy to pull it into a future note that you need it again. That's the advantage of putting it over here instead of putting it inside of a single note. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. All righty. So there's your plan. Now go ahead and click Add Plan to Note on that tab. So no, in the middle tab, the Plan tab. The Plan tab. Yep. So go ahead and click Add Plan go to the bottom there and click Add Plan to Note. So that's how you get your new plan into the note. All right. And then now you can scroll down and whoops. No, you can just scroll down. Okay, you've done that already. You can do it again. It doesn't hurt. And you can do Add Plan to Note as many times as you want and just overwrite. So it's not hurting anything to do it. So now in the note itself, where you are is you need to add your diagnostic codes because you don't have any right now. The ones that are highlighted are just showing you the ones that were used previously. So you need to add diagnostic codes on this particular note. And so you can either click them individually over on the right, or you can click Add All Highlighted in ICDs, either way. So if you click that one, that'll add all. So if there were 4 highlighted, it would add all 4 in one click. That's the advantage of that button. Otherwise, if this note was a narrower note and you just wanted to highlight one ICD or something, you can do that.
And what the list for find is this the list?
Well, you got to uncheck shortlist first, and then you can find. Yeah. So uncheck the practice shortlist first. See it up there? Practice shortlist is checked because. What's strange right now is that we only have 2. So now if you click find, if you put something in either the code or the search box, you're searching against the big list. But you would typically want to search. You would put some search criteria. Otherwise, you're just getting the 10,000 list. So you would put something in there rather than just clicking find. You would put something in the description to search, to narrow your search.
Right
Not
here?
the code probably, unless you know that. Yeah, the description. Right.
Let me put fatigue.
Right. Perfect. Yep. There you go. So like R5383, I know a lot of people use that one. That's other fatigue. And there's 3 pages of things with fatigue.
So I can hit select?
Yep, you can hit select, correct. Now the one that a lot of docs use is chronic fatigue, which is other fatigue and chronic. I don't know what the difference is, but there is one called chronic fatigue as well. That it's probably on another page. The ICD codes, and so it allows 4 on a note. You can have as many as you want in the master problem list. On any given note, it allows 4. Yep.
Hey, now.
Okay, so go on.
So let me ask you a quick question. So these, I'm looking at these codes. I look here. Let's say I don't know the codes. Can I click on it for what it is?
Well, normally you can't right there. Normally, though, what would have happened is you would have had all those codes because they would have been in your short list, and the short list would still be there. The problem is we don't have a short list.
Oh, got
so
it.
We got to. Remember we talked about last night. We got to get your short list in the system, and so. In fact, what we'll do next is I'm just going to show you how to do it as well. I mean, I've shown your staff, but I think they didn't know what codes to put. So let's finish this note.
Can you hold on one split
second?
One split second. No problem. Hey, Tanya, if you get a chance, can you come to the office? Thanks. Okay. All right, I'm ready.
So let's go ahead and scroll to the bottom now and just go ahead and finish up this note, and then we're going to go do a couple of other things. Go ahead and click generate. And that'll tell you if there were any errors, you would have gotten an error message if you hadn't filled out something that was required or something like that. So there's your note. Go ahead and scroll to the bottom. All right, and click save. There you go. So you've now done a complete note.
Sweet.
That's pretty much it. Okay, now let's go to admin options. And I want to go to manage ICD-10, the third group down on the right, third group down on the right. Third group, next group. Manage ICD-10, there you go, right there, not crosswalk, manage, yep. Okay, so this is how so right now the practice shortlist is not selected, so you can put any description in there and find a code, and then the shortlist button is the one on the right. So like, do fatigue again, for example.
Yep.
Ted. Okay, so go ahead and do fatigue.
I dropped something. There we go. Okay.
Fine. And then you can just scroll through the list of all the fatigues until you find the one that you want. So down at the bottom, you can press the 2 or the 3 down there to go to the other pages.
I've got Tanya here with me. Are you adding list ICD-10 stuff?
I don't have access to it. David said I should, but I don't see where to put it in.
Who did you show this?
Doc, I cannot honestly remember. I mean, I showed the people that Jen lined up. She had people lined up, and I showed those people. I don't know. I have no idea, at this point, who was in each session. That we've had about 4 or 5 sessions, and each session she had certain people in it.
Okay, got it. All right. So I have the person
So
here.
it's not any of those. So go on to the second page, and it looks like it's not those. Go on to the third page. It's probably on the third page.
Yeah.
There we go. So there's other fatigue, chronic fatigue unspecified. That's the main one that people use.
So
just click that, and click that button, and that button adds it to the short list. Okay, and then you go on and find the next one, and you keep doing that until you're done.
Got it.
So you have as many as you want. You can have. There's no limit. 20 show up at a time on that soap note page. So 20 is a nice round number because that way all of them will be on one page. But if you need 30 or 40, you can have as many as you want.
Do you know if Tanya, if she
take fatigue out because otherwise it's not going to find it. I did find it. Okay, no, that's okay. It found it. But now that one is already on the list though. See, because it's already got the little icon there. So that one was already on there. So
do you know? Does Tanya have the ability to do this? Does she have the ability to?
Let me check her permissions. I didn't set permissions. Jen set permissions. So let me check her permissions. Okay.
So once I click this, I hit add.
No, you don't need to do anything else. Just click it. Once you click it, it's done. Yeah, that's all you have to do. You don't have to click add. As long as you see the extra little star. See how there's a star and then a little star?
Yes.
The little star means that it's been added to the short list. So like, see how it adds a little, that's all you have to do. There's no add. That's it. That's it. Just exactly. Yeah, you're doing it exactly right.
Okay, I will show Tanya how to do this.
Now let me, that's a twist. The doctor's showing the staff how to do something, right? Let's see, manage users. Tanya, what is is it Tanya 1?
Yes, Tanya 1.
Is that okay. So yeah, right now, Jen made her a staff person. A staff person cannot access that area. Like I had told her and you guys from the beginning, staff is for people that only have kind of day-to-day responsibility and they don't have any responsibility for setting up and configuring aspects of the system. So if you want her to be able to access that, at least temporarily, you would need to make her an administrator. So I'll go ahead and do that so that she has access.
So you can do that?
Yep.
I'm sorry, that wasn't my question. My question was, can I do that?
Yep, you can do that. And I will show you how you can do that. You have the authority as well. You and Jen, and I don't know who else she made a primary administrator, but the three of you guys have that authority. I mean, to do that. So definitely. So I think you got the hang of that. So basically now, once you want to see your shortlist, go ahead and clear that field and then select shortlist and click find, and then that'll show you all the ones that are on your shortlist. Okay, so clear that. Select shortlist over on the left, the far left. Select practice shortlist. There you go. Now click find, and that will find all the ones that are on your shortlist today. There you go. See that? So that's your shortlist right now. So that's how you see your shortlist once you've built it, is by selecting shortlist and then clicking find. Just make sure you unselect shortlist in order to find some new ones, because otherwise it's only searching within your shortlist.
Ah.
Follow me? When shortlist is checked, then it's only searching within the shortlist. When you uncheck shortlist, then it's searching against the 10,000.
Got it.
Now, I will tell you that sometimes, unfortunately, the ICD-10 codes, the language that they use sometimes and the tense of verbs that they use is different than the way you might think. So when that happens, I suggest going out to, so go to another tab, get another tab open. Just press the plus up there at the top. So you can go to another tab for a second. I want to show you something. They're just going to a whole nother browser tab. A browser at the very, very top.
Oh,
the very top. I want another browser tab. Yep. Just get another browser tab open. Okay. No, not. Just get another tab. Press the
I'm
plus.
trying.
It seems like you're clicking a little too low. I want you to click up there where the plus is to get another tab.
Hold on. There we go.
All right. Okay. So now, I don't know if your default search is Yahoo. Click Google to get to Google search, because Google is much better than Yahoo. Okay, so now search for something like, put in the words fatigue space ICD-10. Fatigue space ICD-10. And you can do this with anything. Okay, go ahead. And now, typically the first one that's going to come up is this site called ICD-10 Data. This site is awesome in terms of finding codes that even if you don't have the right tense,
yeah, this is the one that we use.
Yeah, so use that site to find the code, and then because sometimes a natural search, this thing has got some, Google's got a lot of better logic than anybody else as far as searching, and so they're able to find things even when the tense of the verbs is wrong and stuff like that. So I just use that ICD-10 data site a lot of times. I show docs to use that to find the codes, because sometimes when they're searching, like for example, if you're looking for menopause, you're looking for the menopausal ICD-10. If you search for the word menopause, it doesn't find it because they use menopausal. So
Yep.
and a natural search doesn't have that logic, whereas the Google search can get through that logic. So just use that to find codes. If you don't find it with an initial search on our site, use the Google find and find it that way. Okay.
So
okay.
let's make
So you guys have.
let's give Tanya some admin.
I did already. It's already done.
You did.
Now, just to show you, I already did it. So to show you how to do it, go to Manage Users, the third one down on the top section. Nope, in the top section. No, the very top section of Admin Options. The third one down, System Configuration. Nope. You're already on Admin Options. Third one down. There we go. Manage Users. So Tanya's you can see her ID there is Tanya1. Go ahead and click that. No, click the left link. Yep, to open the page. And I've already made her an administrator. So open that user profile drop down. So she was a staff before. And again, a staff can do everything on a day-to-day basis, but they cannot configure the system and change things in the configuration. So now, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to have everybody tinkering with everything. So that's the other thing you have to kind of be careful about. Now, so just be aware of that. But that's how you change somebody's permissions, is from right there where you are. Okay. And when you're done, you don't click save, you click update. That save is to associate a resource record. You just click the update up at the top. Yep. There we go. like I said, she was already updated, but that's no problem at all. Okay, so so now you can just go to list view or get out of that and press admin options to get out of that and go to somewhere else or search patients or whatever else you wanted to do. But the main thing I wanted to do was to get you comfortable. Now, okay, so Jenna already has, she's a primary admin, so she already has the highest level. She can do everything.
So I don't want her to do everything.
Okay, so here's the difference, right? So an administrator can do everything except approve another administrator. A primary admin can do everything, including approving another administrator. Staff can do lots of things as far as day-to-day, but very little on the configuration side. There's only a couple screens we've given staff profiles access to on the configuration screen. So you can decide. I think she didn't know what roles people had, so that's why I think initially she was primary admin, just so that she was the one approving users initially. You just need to decide who on your team is going to do that. You know, you probably don't want it to be yourself. So, you know, as you add new staff or whatever, the question is who do you want to get the notification that a new staff member is asking for access?
It's just going to be me.
Oh, it's just going to be you. So then just make her administrator then and not primary admin. And go ahead and update that.
And I'm a primary administrator?
Yes, sir. You, of course, made you a primary administrator.
Just want to make sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the inner workings of how the user stuff works. Let's go back here now. Let's see. Now, the other area that we have not covered so far, and we can't quite cover the supplement stuff yet because the shopping cart is just
before you
not
go
good.
on to supplement stuff, can I ask you a big favor?
Sure.
Can you guide me in the next couple minutes to how to add a new patient?
Okay, click the new patients button up at the top left. And just start filling out the screen. So put in their first name.
Yeah, I thought so, and that's what I was trying to do yesterday. But when but we start filling this out, and then how does the patient? How do we send an email to the patient to fill out their portion of the intake forms and all that?
Well, so basically what you want to do is you got to fill this all out, and then let's go to so that you don't have to do that right now. But you're going to fill this all out. And the key thing is to make sure when you select the category for them that you select patient intake. So open that drop down for patient category there just so you see what's in there. In the middle of the screen, patient category. In the middle of the screen. Third one down. One more down. One more down. Nope, too far. One more, nope, back up. Where it says Atlantis Med Spa information.
Yep.
Okay, right there. Now, so
Med Spa thing. I'm trying
that's just what your short name was in the system as. What do you want it to be?
Either Med Center or Atlantis Medical. We need to get the word spa out of that, out of every single bit of anything.
No problem. Okay, no problem. So now just click in the patient group there. So for group, open that drop down. So you'd want to make them either active patients or you guys have added some special ones. So you would want to put them into the appropriate group.
Okay.
If they don't belong in a special group, you just put them in the active patients group. Okay. If they don't belong in FR Partners or any of those other groups your staff has created, you would just put them in active patients.
All right. Well, that's all I really wanted to
okay.
see.
And then now go to the category. Go to the category first, though, before you leave. I want to make sure you understand. So go over to that one, and that one needs to be patient intake for someone that's going to be filling out the intake process. So you would put them in patient intake when you set them up. Okay.
Got it.
Now, all the other stuff, you just fill it in. There's nothing special, whatever values are appropriate. Okay. So now go ahead and you can change those referral sources. Okay.
Yeah.
We've trained them on how to, those can be updated.
I like Suzanne Summers.
Yeah. So, all right. So now exit out. And so now go to search patients now. Go to search patients. Second one over. All right. Now let's open up the test patient record. So with the pencil, click the pencil icon on the test patient line. Nope, the next one down, the test patient line. There you go. All right. Now, you were saying, how do you send them the instructions to do the rest of the intake process? Scroll down.
Okay. If you want, you can watch this. If you want, watch this. This the intake.
Now, this is not the way I recommend doing it, but I'm just going to show you this way since you asked. I'm going to show you in a second here the way I recommend you do this process. But scroll on down and see the gray button over there on the right that says send intake mail. Send intake mail. Scroll up. No. Go back about 3 groups up. In the middle there that says intake status information, there's a gray button on the right that says send intake mail. Nope, not that one. That's save intake status. Go up directly from there. Nope, right there. Yep, send intake mail. So that's how you would, if you enroll them as a new patient, that's how you would do it. But I don't recommend you do it this way. I'm going to show you, I'm going to take the screen back and show you how I recommend you put in your leads that want to become patients, okay? So why don't you go ahead and stop sharing, and then I'm going to share again.
Okay.
All right. Now, again, your team was trained on this. You got my screen now?
Say that again.
Do you have my screen? Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So the best way to put in someone who's not a patient yet that you want to become a patient is to put them in as a lead first. And the reason for that is that if you put them in as a lead first, the system will then track your conversion percentage so that you know how many of your leads that are becoming patients. If you just put them directly in as patients, you lose track of how many of them were leads. So I would start every single lead off that wants to become a patient as a lead rather than as a patient record, okay? And plus the screen is much shorter. So
before
all I
you
have
go
to do is click.
with our established patients, the ones that we're entering now, since we're all paper right now, we're not transferring anything electronically. So do we still add them as a new patient, new?
Well, no, you would add them. Yeah, the one. So there's 2 choices you have, Doc. My understanding was, and I don't know, Jen was making the decision. I don't know what the answer was. I gave her a spreadsheet and suggested that the fastest way to get the new patients in was to fill up the spreadsheet. Now, and I assume that you had all those patients in some system. I know you don't really have like an EMR, but I'm guessing that you have a list of patients in some system or another, right?
Yes.
Maybe a payment system that you use or something.
Yes, we do.
So my recommendation was that you fill up the patient import spreadsheet and to get all your patients in rather than one-by-one manual entry. That would be a lot faster. And so to the extent that you can export those patients out of some tool and then literally just take column by column and paste it into the spreadsheet that we have, then overnight we can load all those patients. So all several hundred of your patients can be loaded all at once rather than relying on your staff to manually enter them. So for the existing ones, I recommend that approach rather than manual entry.
Okay.
That's my recommendation, okay?
Okay.
So that's my recommendation for how you do that. Now, this here is only for the leads that call in or come in through the web or something like that, that call in and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody about becoming a patient, blah, 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 blah. Those are the ones that I'm suggesting you put in this way rather than starting them off as a new patient, okay?
Got it.
So what you would do is, like, we click New Inquiry. And from here, all we have to do is fill in, okay, so first name is John Smith, phone number, his email, how did he find you, patient referral, what's his issues, patient is 50-year-old male, suffering from parent low T, okay? And at this point, we can click Save and Manage. That's all we have to fill in. So you see it takes a lot less time than filling up that whole big screen, and then you make the patient do it directly. And then you basically click this button here, Send Intake Form Email, which will send them an email that has been built that will direct them on filling out the demographics, completing the health history form, etc. And so basically then we just go ahead and click Send to send that. That will send that out to the patient and then basically let them start from scratch in terms of creating their own patient record. The other reason why this approach is better is that when you do it the new patient way, it automatically makes their username, first name, last name. And when they create it themselves, they can create their own username. And usually people like their own username. So I definitely recommend for all the new patients that you let them create their entire profile themselves rather than creating the profile for them. So you would do it in the fashion, and I did show your team this whole process here with the leads and how to put in a lead record and then send out the intake instructions through the lead record. And then basically the patient will then flow through. At that point, what you'll see is you'll see the patient on this dashboard. You can see here, see how Betty Smith and John Smith, those are leads of their prospective patients. Once they fill out the first demographic page, then they'll drop into this intake status, and we can see then exactly which things they've done. So right now, you guys are using the HIPAA, the health history form, the HIPAA, the financial policy, which has been added in. That's a config because our intake process is configurable. So your financial policy, then the payment, which at least Jen's recommendation was that you guys go to a deposit concept where for every appointment they're going to make a $125 deposit, and that would be the same as the cancellation fee. And so that way you actually have that money collected up front. So, and hopefully that should avoid your no-shows, because she was telling me you guys have quite a few no-shows, and the making them pay up front typically eliminates the no-shows. You don't typically, you'll go from how many ever no-shows you're getting.
We rarely had any no-shows, but over the last like 2 months, it's been interesting. Kind of had this rash of no-shows. Yeah.
Most of the clinics have gone that are cash-based have gone to some form of either a full advance payment or a deposit. I'd say 80% of my clients are doing some form of advance payment which eliminates the no-shows, and it gives the process a little bit more integrity. So again, you can talk with her about that, but that's what she had decided made sense when she understood. Because our options were either don't do a payment at all, so just keep it normal like you've been doing it, no advance payment. Number 2 was do some sort of a deposit-based advance payment. Number 3 was do a full advance payment. So whatever their visit they're getting, they would have to do a full advance payment. And then number 4 was doing a deferred advance payment, which is what probably 50% of my clients do. And that's where, let's say the visit is $400, then they're committing to that, but it's deferred by maybe either 5 days or 10 days from the date that they're signing up. So they still have to put in their credit card, but you can set it up in such a way that it defers that payment. So therefore you can kind of deflect when they say, well, why am I paying up front? And you say, well, you're not paying up front. You're just committing up front, and the payment's not going to come out for 5 days or for 10 days. So those were the options, and she liked the deposit construct option the best. So Again, you guys can change that decision. It's no big deal, but that's the decision. So anyway, but as the patient flows through, as these things get completed, you'll see this change to a large green circle, meaning it's completed. The small green dot means it's not completed. You'll see it change to a large green dot. So you'll be able to see the exact status of where they are in the intake process at all times. So
how's
that's the other advantage to it.
How's Lanice doing the deposit and the advance
payment? She does the deferred advance. She does the deferred advance payment. She does a 10-day deferral because she's booked out 4 weeks anyway. So nobody ever gets in within 10 days. And plus, because in her model, they have to get their labs done first. Nobody ever comes within 10 days. So basically she's doing a 10-day deferred payment. So whatever the visit is, if it's $475, if it's $975, they're committing to that full amount, but it's a deferred payment by 10 days. So that's what she does.
Yeah. And that's great. That's exactly what we should do. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a better method, but Jen liked the deposit idea, so it's your call. I mean, the system supports any of the above, so it's totally.
Well, we'll go by what Jen has decided at first, and then we'll see how that works.
Okay. Yep. Go with that and see how it works. You can always change to the other model where again they're making a full committed payment. They just it's just that it's deferred to get away from the notion that it's upfront. The only one where she makes them pay completely up front is the Bredesen, because there's so much third-party money that gets spent right away. So on that one, they don't get a deferral. But every other visit, they get a deferral. They get a 10-day deferral. Okay? All right. So anyway, Doc, that is so that's how you handle the new patients. Again, you can put if there's a reason why or whatever the reason is, you can create your new patients from here. Making sure that again, and for all of these selections is always an undetermined. If you choose not to use it, if you don't know their marital status or if you don't know their race, you can use undetermined. The social is optional. We do recommend if, what I'll tell you is that when patients create their own record, about 80% of them add the social anyway, which is good because it really helps with lab integration in terms of matching in case you have two Gloria Smiths and that sort of thing. So social is very helpful. The labs actually do collect it and it's required with the labs. We don't require it, but we allow it. So therefore, most people will fill it in if they see it, other than the 20% that are worried about, their social getting compromised, even though everybody in the world can find anybody's social. So I don't know why anybody is so worried about social security number. But, there are those people that are concerned. And so for those people, you don't have to have it. Okay. So that's the key thing there. So it is not a required field, but it is there and available SSN. Now, the other thing I should have covered with you that I did cover with them is that if you happen to see a phone number that is in yellow, so if we type this number here, it's in yellow. If you look at the icon here, uncheck this box if you do not want voicemail left. So a yellow means you can call the person on that number, but do not leave a voicemail. So that's what the yellow means. If you happen to see a number that has been yellowed out like that, that's what it means. Is calling it is fine, but don't leave a voicemail. It means a voicemail is not private. The secretary is monitoring it, something like that. So that's the only other little thing that I would point out about the new patient screen. If the billing and shipping are the same, you can use this button to copy it over so you don't have to type a second time. So if they're the same, but remember a lot of times they're not the same. So that's pretty much it that I wanted to cover as far as that stuff goes. Any questions about any of things that we've covered?
No.
Okay, the last thing I wanted to cover on some level is I need to understand what you want to do and what you're doing with respect to your compounded prescribing. Are you using a small number of pharmacies? Are you using a whole bunch, like whatever the patient wants? What are you doing as far as pharmacy?
Right now, I'm using a couple of pharmacies: American Hormones, Empower, and APS. And there's some patients that, and I'm using a couple of locals because patients prefer that. But it's mostly those three, the big three.
Okay, Empower, APS. What was the third one?
AMPS. It's oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Give me 2 seconds here. AMPS. They're out of Florida.
Okay. So,
I'm probably doing more local than I'm doing AMPS, but mostly American Hormones.
So mainly your big ones so your big ones are Empower and APS then.
And my big one's American Hormones and Empower.
Okay, but in your model, the patients are just paying the pharmacy, right? You're not collecting the money. You're writing the script and the patient's paying the pharmacy.
Well, that's interesting because yes. The answer is yes, mostly, but we're transitioning to we're experimenting and transitioning the other way. Just have had problems with it because I was the only one managing it, to be honest with you.
Well, now would be the great time because our system does support both models. So you certainly can transition entirely. Now, what I will tell you is that I wouldn't try to do both models in the same pharmacy because that is going to get confused.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
In terms of your staff.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, right. So let me at least go through the beginning. I'm going to show you how our prescribing module works.
Right now, because I'm in transition, I'm open to any suggestions. And what I had planned on doing was using American Hormones as patient pay them direct, and I don't do anything else. And then Empower and AMPS, I was going to, it was the other way.
Right. Well, that's ideal. Empower is already set up in our system. They're one of our larger pharmacies. And so let's use them as an example and at least start showing you how this stuff works. Now, to do that, let me do this first, though, before I try to go into that, launch into that whole thing. Let me bring up my demo site so I can show you the.
While you're bringing up the demo site, I need to step out for about 15 seconds again.
Okay, no problem.
All right, I'm back.
Yep.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
We're good.
Nope, I'm here. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So, so basically, I'm just gonna show you in this demo setup how all of this stuff gets set up to do the what I call the concierge pharmacy business. That's where you collect the money from the patient instead of the pharmacy. So the first step in that process is for you to go into a screen here called Add and Manage Formulary. So we're under RX items, and there's a screen here called Add and Manage Formulary. And from that screen, what we can do is, and this will show everything that I've set up in my formulary. So the way to think of this is, we have the pharmacy formulary already in the system, so you're not actually having to create formulary items. They're already there. What you have to do is bring the ones that you want to use into your personal formulary. So this is like your personal formulary that you're actually going to use, okay? So essentially you search and find them using this mechanism here, and then you add them into your environment. And so we'll just pick this one here, biased progesterone testosterone capsule. So once you have it there, you set prices, and you can set, well, this one's set at 0, but let's just go ahead and say that, let's set some real prices here. So 1 we'll say is $1, 30 we'll say is $25, and 60, for example, is $45, okay? So we can set as many price points as we want, because, you know, these pharmacies, a lot of them give us a price break at, say, 60 or 90 or something. And so that allows us to set these price points that right directly in this part of the system. So what I'm saying is that 1 is $1. Now, you always have to have a price for a 1, because let's say somebody came to you and wanted you to just, well, give me 10 and let me try them. So then in that case, the system would take the price for 1 and multiply it by 10 and say, okay, that's $10. But if they bought 60, it would make it $45. It wouldn't make it $60. So that's the idea of these price points is, right, I can have multiple price points that are specific to a certain quantity. And I have the 1 as a fallback in case I write some small quantity like 5 or 10 or something that I don't have a price for. And then that way the system will use the price for 1 and multiply it by that number. So that's really it as far as, so the idea is that I first select the medication that I want from the formulary. So let's just pick, I'm working with my test pharmacy right now. So let's just pick something like testosterone. Okay, pick testosterone. These are, so what you're looking at now is all the testosterones that are in that particular clinic and that particular pharmacy formulary. So now I'm going to pick like regular testosterone, and then I get to pick the form of it from, again, these are all the forms at that pharmacy that are set up. So I want a cream, and then these are all the strengths that they have. Now, sometimes all the strengths aren't there. And if the strength you need is not there, we can add it as long as the pharmacy can make it. But generally, you're going to find, for the most part, 95% of what you need is already here.
Yeah.
So let's say I want 175 milligrams for the man, and I want 3.5 for a woman, and so I click Create. So that adds those to my formulary. Of course, now they're not priced at this point, so now I can come down here and find them to price them. So I can do a search and find those items. And so here's those items that I just added, the 3.5, 3 milligrams, and there's the, you know, some of these are already priced and some of them aren't. So for the ones that are not priced, I can just add a price for it. Okay, and I do that by clicking it over here. And we're going to do this again, but I'm just trying, this is more kind of introduction and getting you to kind of understand the flow. We're going to do it again where we go a little slower, step by step, in another session. But I just wanted you to see the whole big picture.
Yeah, no, that's
so
great.
The bottom line is, through this process, I can set the prices that I want using that same model that you just saw me use a few moments ago. Edit the price. I can set the price. In this case, I got a price for 1. I just keep adding quantity. So 1 we'll say is $2, and, you know, again, 30. And keep in mind what unit of measure we're working in. So these are grams. So now we're talking about 30 grams, not 30 count. We're talking about 30 grams, you know, is $80, and maybe 90 grams, 240. So maybe 90 grams is $190, whatever.
Right.
And we just click Create. All right, so now that's how we price them. So we've set up our items and we price them. And now they're in our formulary. And now we can simply find a patient and we can just prescribe them. So we can find a patient, and let's find one here. We'll just use Johnny Clayton. Now to prescribe, we go to the RX button and we go ahead and we prescribe. We click the RX here to start my prescribing wizard. And we're gonna click like test pharmacy. We're gonna click that it's a compound. We're gonna find the medication we're looking for, testosterone. We only need 4 letters. Find the form. We want the cream. Find the strength. We want 100 milligrams per gram. Find our dosage. So we can have dosage templates already created. So for example, I've got one for creams that already has the apply, cream, the arms and thighs, and the AM. So now all I got to do is say how much. So for example, if I'm just doing a topic click, I would say something like maybe 4 clicks. Okay. And then here in the pharmacy, I would say dispense in topic click. Now, if it was going to be a syringe, then maybe you could just say, dispense 1 gram, right? If it was in a syringe, in that case, you would say dispense in syringe. So just make sure that your SIG and your pharmacy instruction is clear, because most of the pharmacies dispense creams in both topic clicks and in some sort of syringe type device.
Yeah.
So just make sure it's consistent. Yep. Well, what we like is we want, you might say, well, the pharmacy knows that I always want mine in a syringe. And that's fine when the pharmacist that knows you is filling your prescription, but when somebody else fills it, heck, they don't know that. So we try to encourage physicians to write scripts that have no ambiguity, that no matter who fills it, they're going to fill it correctly, because there's no assumptions.
I'm very
There's
precise
no
and specific in my prescription.
Yeah, because a lot of docs aren't, and I've had to do a lot of coaching with them because they're not. And well, the doctor, they know, for example, that this is what I do. But again, you're leaving it up to chance.
Yeah, I'm not someone who does
lots of assumptions, and yep. So there shouldn't be any assumptions in prescribing. Now, for some of the pharmacies, Empower included, they're starting to require, for any controlled substance, they're requiring the last office visit and either a social or a driver's license number on controls. So notice we have that ability now. So if those values were in the system, they would show up here, either the DL number or the social, and the last office visit, which they probably aren't going to accept a visit from 2011. But basically, if you click include values, it will include those values that are there. So that just checking that box fills in the values that are there into the pharmacy notes section. And so it saves that callback, because otherwise you're going to get the callback saying, hey, we need the last office visit, blah, blah, blah. So adding that, we just added that about 2 months ago to try to save those callbacks, and it's been a big help, because now, for the most part, the docs are able to fill in that information now, and rather than wait and get the callback and then get the prescription delayed a day or so. So again, all you have to do is check the include values box if the values are there. If they're not, you can type them in, free type them in here as well. But if they're already on the patient record, you can just type include values. So again, just make sure that's consistent. Notice that we are prescribing in grams. Sometimes we're prescribing, so just make sure you look at the way the prescription is, the medication is written, and make sure you're prescribing in the same format. So like sometimes, for example, let's take HCG. HCG is generally, the way we have it set up in the system is in vials. So make sure, so it's in vials, and and other injectables are in, like testosterone is generally in ml. So you're prescribing ml. A regular vial is 10 ml, so the prescription would be written for 10.
Right.
Because you can also have a 5 ml vial. So just make sure you look at how the medication is written. It'll clue you as to, because if it was in a vial, it would say testosterone cypionate in 10 ml vial, for example, or something like that. That's what it would say, instead of, if it says testosterone cypionate 200 milligrams per milliliter, then you know that's in mLs. So in any event, that's the way you write your script there. We go on to next, and now you're going to put your quantity, and it's telling you what the unit of measure is, your grams, so your quantity. So if we want 60 grams, for example, then how many ever refills we're giving them, say 2. Keep in mind that once you're using our system, the good thing is the pharmacy shuts down any other way of filling a prescription other than getting it through EMF. So you don't have to worry about the patient calling and trying to, because that will happen. The patients will call and try to get their refill or something directly from the pharmacy.
Yeah.
So a lot of docs were in the habit of not putting any refills on, which triples your work, because if the normal thing is to put, say, 3 refills, and now you're putting 0, then that means that you tripled your workload for the year for that patient. So with our model, the pharmacies understand that they must not and do not fill any verbals. They don't take any verbals. So the patient can call and they're going to redirect them back to the practice and say, no, the order has to come from the practice. They will not fill a verbal request from the patient or even from your staff that says, go ahead and send this patient, blah, 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 blah. They won't do that. So everything has to go through the system. Once this is turned on with the pharmacy and you're inside the eMedical Fusion bubble, as I call it, they operate exclusively in that manner with all of our clients, so we avoid any issues. And so that allows you then to put refills on without worry that they're going to be abused in some way.
Right.
So basically, now, if it's a controlled substance, the other thing we just added the last 3 months or so is, and right now the only one is testosterone, but the minimum fill in days, so you know this whole drill where the pharmacy won't fill longer than a 90-day prescription, and they won't fill again until 7 days ahead. So for example, if you gave somebody 60 grams and they were doing 1 gram a day, that's going to last 60 days. And the minimum fill days would be 53. So you're going to have to type that in. And what that does is if you don't type it in, the prescription is still going to work fine. It just means then that either the patient or the staff person can inadvertently try to fill it too soon. And then you're going to get the note back from the pharmacy that says it's too soon to fill. If you put the 53 in there, the system will block any attempt to get to process another order until the 53rd day. So it just saves that callback. Again, what we're trying to do through our system is we look at every place there's been a potential bottleneck, and we put in a way to try to stop that bottleneck. So filling in the minimum days to fill eliminates that bottleneck, because now when that script is saved out on the portal, it's going to say next fill date is that, and it won't allow them to fill it until that date. So they can't inadvertently try to get it early. Okay. So you just take the days of the prescription, back away 7. They will fill them 7 days early to allow for logistics and transportation. So they will do 7 days early. So if this was a 60-day script, write it for 53, or if it was like a 10 ml, 1 ml a week, 70 days, you write it for 63.
Okay.
Okay. And then now, this is the really cool thing. So as you finalize this script, you have an option here called the one-click med list. So we can go ahead and check the one-click med list and click finalize. Now, okay, so in my demo system, I do have, this is something that we're not really using right now. Production, but let me see here. I've got this turned on and it's going to block me. We're working on 2-factor authentication for controls. We already have it for commercial, but we aren't using this yet. But I didn't realize this was turned on in my demo.
Okay, no problem. Hey, just so you know, I lost you a little bit.
Yep, I got you back now.
There you go.
You there? Yep. Yeah, my headset just ran out of battery. I hate that it doesn't give me any warning anymore.
I know. I know what you mean.
I mean, they just go. These are AirPods, and they normally, when I first got them, they would always give me. Yeah,
there'd be some sort of warning.
Right, but not anymore. Now they just do it. 1 second here.
So are you still, are we tied to American Hormones on this EMR?
I mean, we're not. We can add them. It's not a problem. I don't have them. I just have to get them added. So I mean, we can add pharmacies. That's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's American Hormones. You know them, right?
If it's a similar form, I'm assuming it's a similar formulary as to what you're using with.
Empower.
That's what you're using with Empower.
Yeah, but do you know American Hormones?
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. I mean, we just don't have them in our system, but I am familiar with them. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely familiar with them. They're in the West someplace, right? Aren't they?
No, actually, they're up New York. Lenice, that's where Lenice and I met.
You know what? You're right. And in fact, the woman that used to be their rep is her patient.
Yeah, Anja.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. All right. So anyway, I couldn't get this thing to approve right now, but so we're going to add this to pending. But in any event, that's how you prescribe. Now, I didn't go onto the record because that one, I'm going to do another script that's not a control, so I don't run into this issue. So let me just pick something like DHEA. We'll pick bias DHEA, cream as well. When I wanted to show you the really cool thing. So we'll click same here. We'll click apply, 2 clicks, and dispense in toppy click, and 30 grams to 2 refills, and you just tap through next. And now, what I want to show you is you add this to the one-click med list. Okay, so once I do that, and I click save. Okay, so the save process saves the script onto the record. Now, from this point, it is not gone to the pharmacy yet. Okay.
Okay.
The idea is that because it's not paid for yet, so we don't want the script going to the pharmacy until it's been paid for. So either and at this point, the patient would have gotten an email letting them know that a new medication has been added to their record, so they would be aware. Now, at this point, you go to this page called the RX order page. And from this page here, what we're going to do is, this is where we order from. So notice that you approved a script and 2 refills, so therefore there's a total of 3 fills available, and the system will keep track of these. So we click this order checkbox, and we just click submit, and that takes us automatically onto the payment page. So the only way they can check this thing out and send it to the pharmacy is by paying for it. So it comes up as $80. The shipping methods are there. There's their shipping address. If we need to change it, we can change it here. If we want to make this a recurring order, they're allowed to place a recurring order for up to the number of refills they have, fills they have. So they could do an automatic recurring order for, every 30 days or every 45 days or whatever. So that's another option. And then basically they just choose a payment method from the payment. Typically you'd have a card on file already. And once you do that, then all you got to do is just go ahead and press complete transaction and check it out. Oh, card's expired. Let's see, do I have another card? It's not expired. Yeah, there's one, 2020. So press that one and press complete transaction. That process then of buying the prescription now is concurrently transmitting this to the pharmacy. So the pharmacy gets it, they're going to fill it, they'll put the same number of refills on, and so therefore our systems are in sync. They have 2 refills left showing on their side, we have 2 refills left showing on this side. So in the future, when the patient's ready for another order, they just come back. Notice how now there's only 2 fills available. So they can come back and they can order, do the same process again when they're ready or when you're ready. So the patient can either call into your office and your office can do it, or they can do it on their own. Most of the patients, probably in Lenice's practice, 80% of them just place their own orders. We recorded a little 2-minute video, and that video is attached to every time they get, so there's an email they get when new things are added. There's a 2-minute video showing them how to place their own orders. And based on that, then about 80% place their own orders. So it's really slick. Does that all make sense?
I'm sorry, I got interrupted here. So hold on 1 second. Which one's yours?
Okay.
Next time, you can, if you need something out here, but you don't need to talk to me, just a little tap and walk in, because I'm just going to sit there. All right, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just asking you, so I was just explaining the rest of the process. I don't know where you had to check.
No,
out,
I got,
but,
I got everything. I got everything other than your last
okay.
thing you were asking me. Did I get it?
Okay, so yeah, the last thing I was just saying was, so this process then allows for the staff or the patient to place these orders once that prescription is on the record. The staff or the patient can place these orders, and basically the whole process is pretty seamless. They'll fill it when they start filling it. Right now it says processing.
Yeah, that's great.
Once they've typed it on their end into their system, it's going to show up as pharmacy filling, and then once they've filled it, it'll show up as shipped, and the tracking number will be there. And the patient is kept apprised all along the way.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so that's already in place for Empower. All I need to do is really train you on exactly how to build your formulary. for Empower, and then you'll have to build a separate one because each pharmacy is different. So once I get the details for the other pharmacy, I'll probably just make a copy of the Empower formulary and use that one for them for right now. And if there's other things that you need added, we can always add them. But that's probably the fastest way, is just a copy.
And honestly, Lanice and I are very, very similar in how we treat, train, and take care of patients. And I bet we mirror each other's formularies to a certain extent. And I'm not talking about supplements. I'm just talking about medications and hormones.
Right.
And does she use low dose naltrexone?
She does.
Yeah.
She uses
So
it all the way from,
that's the only other one that a lot of doctors aren't using right now.
No, she uses that a lot, especially she's using it a lot in treating inflammation, people that have high amounts of inflammation, and just a lot of different scenarios.
Yeah,
but
and me too. The only thing that's different is I use pellets. I'm doing studies on naltrexone pellets for weight loss and chronic inflammation. So that'd be the only other.
I don't know that she's used naltrexone for weight loss. I know she's using it a lot.
No, she's not yet. I know she's not yet because I'm doing all the studies on that. We haven't released all that information yet, but so that'd be the only difference, to be honest with you. And
so it shouldn't take much. Essentially, the bottom line is it's not going to take you much. You seem to catch on to this stuff pretty quick, so it's not going to take you much. I don't know if you're going to have your staff do it or if you're going to do it, but essentially, let's go back to your site and let's just go ahead and set this up so that you can actually do it for real, and you can start getting your first formulary for Empower. Hang on a second. Let me get back to the right tab. Okay, guess I got logged out here. Okay, so the steps are, and this is the first step is a one-time step. So the first thing we have to do is add the pharmacy itself into your pharmacy shortlist. So I'm going to go to Add and Manage Pharmacies, and we're going to click Shortlist Pharmacy. I'm going to find Empower, and I don't remember the zip code.
it's 77041.
Empower is 77041. Okay, so the pharmacy find is all by zip code 77041, and so we'll just go ahead and put a find in. That will find them, and whenever you see a couple of pharmacies like this and one has a little C by it, that's the C is the one for compounding.
Got it.
So that one has the compounded formulary attached to it. So we just click save, and that's it. Like I said, this is a one-time thing, so not a big deal. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Admin Options, and we're going to go to Add and Manage Formulary. And we're going to select, notice that Test Pharmacy is there for everybody. You can play with that one for Sandbox, but Empower Pharmacy is there. And the first thing we do is we just put in the medication. We need 4 letters, so let's just pick a simple one. We'll pick testosterone. And if we're looking for Test Sip, for example, Test Sip is in here as Test Sip in the different oils. So if we look at the common one, I assume, I don't know, most people are using Test Sip and grapeseed oil. Is that what you're using?
Yep.
Okay. And so then we pick the only form that's available is injection. And then we pick the various strengths. Now, if we want all these strengths, we can bring them all in. If we're only using, say, the 100 and the 200, we can just bring those in. Some people are using some of the low strengths for women now. As well, with the like a 0.25 ml type dose and using a low dose like 20 milligrams. So if you want those, you can bring those in as well. Okay, and so you pick all the ones that you want, just like I've done there, and you just go ahead and click create, and that then adds those into your formulary.
Great.
Now what you do is you come down here, and it doesn't matter which one you pick to start with if they're all the same price. I think these are all the same price from Empower. So you click the item over here, and then you click Create New Items. And by the way, I have like a 2-minute video on this exact process right here, so that I can send you, so that you don't have to watch this big long video just to get this part.
Yeah, great.
But you select your merchant account, you select your location, which I recommend selecting all in case you had another location.
Yep.
Now, remember again, this is going to be in MLs because that's the way it's spent. So when we talk about quantity, we're talking about MLs. So typically, again, the normal quantity is 10, and I don't know what you sell it for. I think she sells the 10 mLs for, I don't know, $120. I think it is. I don't know what you sell your 10
that's
mLs
about
for.
it. 125, something like that.
Right. Okay. So 125. So we click add to get another one. We always have to have, it's required that we have a quantity of 1, even if we never intend on using it. We have to have it again so that in case you distribute 5 or something like that. So this is about, what is that, $12.50. So if we can just put $12.50, and so now if you were to prescribe 5, it would go 5 times $12.50 to get to the price. Okay, so we don't need any more prices than that. You can't do doubles of testosterone anyway, so that's enough. And so we just click create. Okay, new program saved successfully, and you can see now that one now has a checkbox there and it has a price. Now this is the interesting part. For the other ones, and we don't have to go through that same process. For the other ones, what we can do is we can check these 3 boxes, and what we're going to do is use that one price item and link all these other ones to it. So we can just simply click here on the second one, click find matching items, which finds this one because it looks for testosterone SIP. Now we click this little radio button right here, and then we get this button that pops up that says associate. And now, bingo, all of those now are using the same price. So I only have to have one price in it. I have 4 different items associated. So if you got like 50 items, like in DHEA, pregnenolone, you can just create one price and then associate all of them with that price. And again, I have a short little video because that's the one that docs always ask me again, how do you do that? So I have a short little video that just does that little part. So you don't have to worry about trying to remember that exact step. But that's essentially it. So once you've done that, now those items are ready to be prescribed. The only thing we have to do is just we have to send a note to Empower and let them know that you're now under the EMF umbrella. And they will then, because then the other nice thing about being managed under the EMF umbrella is that we have a dedicated account manager. So you're not having to call into the general number. They got a dedicated phone. We have a dedicated email instead of going to that generalized Empower support email. So we have our own dedicated rep and support system that makes sure our orders are processed correctly. So that's been very helpful. All right, make sense?
Yeah.
So basically, like I said, I'm going to send you the 2 short videos. The one shows you how to get the items out of the formulary, and the second one shows you how to add the pricing and do the association and all that. So, your homework, as you can get to it, is to just go ahead and start setting up the rest of your Empower formulary for the meds and supplement, for the meds that you actually use. Again, you only need about 3 to 4. You need 4 letters here to select the medication. So, if you put in DHEA, then it brings up, there's all your DHEAs, all the different combinations of DHEAs that are in their formulary. So you just put in the 4 letters. From that point, you just flow through the process, and then you get them down here, and then you come down here and you price them. Okay, and then they're all set to be used. You can, and this, like I said, model as you've seen how it works on the end. So that's your homework. I think I don't know when our next session is, but I know we've got one set up for next week. So go ahead and try to get as much as you can set up with Empower. I will send you the 2 short videos. And I think that's going to be about it for today.
That's sweet. I'll have all those videos looked at. I'll start adding to the formulary already. We'll have patients on board by the time you and I talk, and
perfect.
And we're good.
Yeah. So you guys can either start, you guys can either fill up that spreadsheet, talk to Jen about that. I don't know what the status of that is, but presumably, you just need to fill up that spreadsheet and then get that to us. And we typically can do it in an overnight session so that from when you give it to me today, then by, Monday or something, it's been loaded with all those patients. Okay.
Yeah. Great.
All right, sir. I think we're getting there. So I'll see you next week. You have a great weekend, and until we meet again.
All right. And I have one quick question. It has nothing to do with just basically with we talked way early about this, about the EMR. Does it talk to QuickBooks, and does it integrate with QuickBooks as far as the?
Yeah, and it does. Yes, it does.
And you're happy with it?
And Oh, I mean, I love it personally. I mean, because all my transactions flow into QuickBooks, and so on a day-by-day basis, on a week-by-week basis, you can look and see how you're doing. You can get all kinds of reports out of there because you can get it as granular as you want. And I think Jen is very comfortable with it. I mean, we've
Yeah,
talked
she's
about it a
very,
lot.
very comfortable with that part. The reason why I asked is because I've just heard almost honestly one of the number one complaints about most HRs. They'll say, yes, it works with QuickBooks, but, and then there's a lot of buts with some issues, multiple issues.
Yeah, but we don't have those because we built our integration from scratch. And because of my financial background, I knew how it needed to work. And so it works that way. And because ours is real time, the transactions are flowing in. We thought of all the exception processing. So we've got exception processes to handle every kind of eventuality, things that we know where we know there can be something that doesn't work right. There's an area in the system where it will go to where it can be further inspected on a manual basis. So we've handled all those kind of over the years. You got to remember this thing has been around for a lot of years. And over those years, then we've continuously added to it and made it very robust. So in fact, we actually, back when we rolled this thing out, QuickBooks actually gave us an award for one of the more innovative uses of their technology with respect to the QuickBooks integration. So it's the most
cool.
robust one I've seen. Yeah, it's the most robust integration I've seen because we handle all the credits, we handle, all the charges, we do it in proper accounting. I've had accountants get be blown away because they're saying most of the QuickBooks integrations do certain things wrong, and we don't. We actually do them properly. So it's a very robust integration. I mean, it really is. I wouldn't worry about some of the concerns you've heard about the other one. A lot of them, for example, don't even send transactions in detail. All you're getting is a batch entry at the end of the day saying the total sales were some number. No, we don't do that. We're giving you transaction by transaction is going in there in absolute detail, just as if somebody was sitting there keying in each transaction at one at a time. So that's how you get, because to me, the batch thing at the end of the day is useless. All that tells you is what your total revenue was. Here, you'll be able to get your revenue all broken down, however Jen breaks it down, however you want it broken down. Your revenue can be broken down because every transaction is going in, and every transaction can be pointed to the correct general ledger account. So that's the other difference. A lot of people do their QuickBooks integration directly to the general ledger, and we don't. We go to QuickBooks items, which is the way they recommend doing it. So by going to items, then that leaves the accountant with total control for each item of deciding what general ledger account. So we're not making the general ledger account decision for you. All we're doing is saying that here's a service, a 30-minute visit, and on QuickBooks there's an item called 30-minute visit. Now Jen goes in and says, okay, I want 30-minute visits to go into this GL account called physician services. So she's the one making that decision of where it shows up in the general ledger, not us. All we're doing is sending over the item, and she's deciding the general ledger impact. So that really makes it powerful because that puts the accountant, bookkeeper type person in total control instead of our system. So all we're doing is delivering the transaction into the system as if somebody hand keyed it, and then from there, QuickBooks takes over. So it's quite robust.
That's awesome to hear. All right, well then that just eased a question of mine that I had chronically kept forgetting to ask you.
Yep.
Because it's one thing for Jen to tell me that, who's not medical, hasn't worked with EMRs and doctors, and it's another when you tell me that, and I hear it from you and Lenise.
Yeah, I mean, we've had other accountants that have worked with us, and just they absolutely love working with the system if they, because it saves them a lot of time and work, and yet they still get the detail. A lot of times when you say QuickBooks integration, somebody's thinking you're talking about summary entries, and it's going to be a pain in the butt. But ours goes over just as if they've been hand keyed. There's no difference. It looks exactly like a hand keyed transaction one by one. So
got it.
That gives them total flexibility.
All right, man. Well, you take care and have a good rest of your day, and say hi to Lenise for me.
Yeah. Okay, sure will. And you have a good weekend now. Talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Yep.